All right, perfect. All right, welcome back, everyone, for our third session of today. I have the honor of introducing Brittany Strube. She is an instructional designer at Eastern Kentucky University, dedicated to innovation and educational methods. She holds a master's degree in organizational performance and workplace learning from Boise State University. She's keen on promoting education that sticks and the strategic use of technology in the classroom. Brittany balances her entire role with her passions outside the classroom as a yoga teacher, a traveler, an avid reader, and by integrating mindfulness and continuous learning into every facet of her life. So, Brittany, your session today is on AI as a teaching assistant. So, to unlock the potential of AI in the classroom, it's a deep dive into the benefits, best practices, resources to leverage artificial intelligence as a teaching assistant, and it's perfect for educators seeking to reduce the cognitive load with mundane tasks and enhance student engagement and personalized learning. But awesome. I will pass the things over to you.
Thank you so much. Yes. So hopefully using AI as something to enhance what you're already doing instead of just another thing on your to-do list, because I know that we all have large to-do lists these days. So first, we're just going to take a moment because I know that this can be incredibly overwhelming at points to learn about. AI has so much potential, but it also has a lot of things to consider as well. And so you all are dedicated to spending, however much time you're able to allot today. So that says a lot about you all. And so just taking a moment for me to show my gratitude and appreciation for students and what you all are doing. So I really think in metaphors, I think when it comes to AI usage, and right now it feels like we are at this point where, if we think about any new technology, they've always been disruptive throughout human history. So I kind of think about it as we have a horse and then we have the Mustang vehicle. So we've got a Mustang horse and a Mustang vehicle. Well, we have traditionally been teaching people how to ride horses, right? And now we've got this new technology coming up. We've got this car and we are going to have to learn how to use it. Faculty are going to learn how to drive that car so that they can teach students how to drive that car, because we can gallop that horse as fast as we want. We can try to ignore the fact that there is a car even there, right? We don't want to look at that technology, but eventually that car is going to surpass that horse. And with that comes along, it might have job disruption, but there's also been a lot of new jobs that have been created because of these new technologies that we've gotten throughout human history. So a little analogy there. And like I said, right now, we're kind of in this position where we've got a lot of dichotomous thinking. We've got, it's going to be awful and it's the Terminator. And then, there's so many potentials and it's going to be butterflies and rainbows and unicorns. And it kind of feels like, I don't know about you all, that we are at this pivotal point where we are just looking down, like what is going to happen. Now, I'm of the mindset that it is probably going to be somewhere in the middle here. So yeah, no robots taking over. So we're probably going to be walking down the road somewhere in the middle based on how we choose to use AI. So just a little poll here, because I'm not sure if Brad covered this in his earlier session, but just throw in the chat or, give a reaction on your video. Who has even used Chat GPT for your learning or just in general? Who's used it? All right, looks like a lot of us general use. Okay, well, I'm going to give you all a homework assignment if you have not used it, which is to go just try it. Try it with anything. One of the easiest things that you can do is sometimes you can have it create grocery lists. You can say, I want a meal that is, if you're doing a meatless Monday, a meatless option using these ingredients. This is what I have in my refrigerator, and just go try it. Just play around with it. We learn best by playing. I'm a firm believer. And I think that is going to be a good way just to start familiarizing yourself with it in a low stakes way. So today we're going to be doing just a little conversation about some of the advantages, how AI can assist you, some considerations. There's an entire session on that, so I can't get too into depth on the considerations there, but tools and resources are going to take up a bulk of our time because I know that you all are going to want to have tangible things to walk away from this session with, and that is exactly what I hope to aim you with. So goals, like I said, we're going to understand the potential benefits and applications of AI in educational contexts and confidently be able to integrate them into your teaching and design practices. So ChatGPT wrote that. So I wrote, write an objective for a training on how to use AI as a teaching assistant for professors. And so you could use exactly what ChatGPT spit out. I don't like to do that. I think, as we've discussed earlier, it can be pretty apparent when something is written by ChatGPT. It lacks that human connection. And then our next goal is going to be recognize how AI technologies can help in reducing cognitive load and burnout. So like I said earlier, I don't want AI to be another thing on your to-do list. I want it to help you with your to-do list. We've got some funny things going on in the chat over here. So if you see me looking off to my right, I'm just checking out what's going on in the chat conversation. So a couple of weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, I had the opportunity, EKU sent me to the Anthology 2023 conference. So at this conference, I was able to attend a session with Melissa Hortman, who is one of the head honchos over at Microsoft in their education department. And she did a session about Microsoft's pilot called Copilot. It is revolutionary. I know Lisa mentioned it, but I'm going to show you all this video just to think about, this isn't something that we have access to yet, but it is going to be most likely an added subscription with any Office 365 account. And it's going to very likely be something that students are going to come across in the workplace and need to know how to use it and need to know how to use it correctly. Give me 1 second here. That is the world that our students are heading into. So I wonder if they used AI to generate this video. It's possible. It definitely is possible. But I think it's just important to note that when we are talking about inputting information, that's going to be a skill that students are going to need. So inputting, you're going to be able to say eventually, take this Word document and take this Excel document and create a 2-page draft of a report for using these 2 documents. So you're going to have to be able to differentiate between what's going to be good content to input into this AI. And then, one of the interesting things that I took away from that is going to be that Teams is going to have it integrated into their meetings so that there's going to be a lot more note taking. There's going to be transcripts and actionable takeaways from Teams. So again, so faculty members, we're learning how to drive the car now so that we can teach students how to drive the car eventually. So some advantages. So course design, I think that the advantages can be pretty limitless. I just saw somebody in the chat said that they're using it to treat and diagnose patients, saving time and lives. The medical field and education, I think, are going to be two that are dramatically impacted. I think the legal field as well, we're already seeing that, are going to be dramatically impacted by AI usage. And so it's not going away, right? So some advantages for course design specifically is really going to come around to having those very, learner-based situations, making it so that we can really target our information that we're presenting students to what the information is that they are needing. So with different situations, scenarios, stories, interactive practice ideas. So, you can input an objective and say, create a story based on this objective that will help me with, if you wanted to do a video with that story, if you wanted to do a branching scenario, especially with the medical field. I'm working right now on a course about communications in the healthcare field, and talking about different branching scenarios of, maybe a student thinks that this is a good idea, but it's not. Well, let's send them to this next interactive. And that's something that instructional designers, especially if you're here at EKU, I work primarily with online courses, but I'm happy to brainstorm any type of these types of learning assets with you. My information will be at the end, but that is definitely something that your instructional designer would be happy, I think, to talk to you about. And if they're not happy, which I think that they will be, I would be more than happy to. Course objectives, we've already talked a lot about course maps and using backwards design. So I think that that's going to be something, especially when we look at some of our quality assurance standards. So like using quality matters, making sure that we're really aligning up with those standards. Using ChatGPT is just an idea. So there's going to be a lot of ideas here. And if you want to talk about implementation, let's do that again at a later date, specific to your programs. Templates. So I'm going to show you an example of a template that you can use for projects. You can create it yourself. You can have students create different templates. Study guides would be a great usage of ChatGPT. So just coming up with an outline. And then again, you can use it as kind of that initial brainstorming, and then cater to your students' need, cater it to what you are trying to get across in your class. Rubrics are going to be a great usage. So I can't tell you how many times already I have used ChatGPT just to start with the rubric process. So brainstorming rubrics, putting in different point values so that you aren't reinventing the wheel every time. But you're also not using the exact same rubric. You're really tailoring it to that assignment. Test and quiz questions. So I see somebody in the chat said, I've been using it to generate true and false and multiple choice questions. So that is going to be something, I know it's been alluded to already, but Blackboard is coming out with some AI integrated features, that being one of them. So using the content, you're going to input the content, and then it's going to spit out some ideas for test questions. And then you've got, again, so some of the visuals, there are a lot of conversations going on in the art world. My aunt is a graphic designer, and we were talking about kind of some of the battles there, but visual representations of ideas, how many times have you had an idea where you can't necessarily come up, I'm not an artist by any means, but I have these ideas in my head and I don't always know how to put that into action, into visual. That could be a very good usage of AI. Again, pre-screened assigned readings to find the right one. So I'm going to show you all an AI specific to looking through research papers. This one might blow your mind if you haven't heard of it already. So just a little teaser for what's still to come. Wording. This is, I think, one of the best places to start if you are a newbie to the world of ChatGPT. So inputting an email. I have sent some emails to my faculty members and used what I was going to so I typed it out at the beginning and then put it into Chat GPT and say, clarify to make this more concise, friendly, using a friendly tone, use all of these bullet points and create an email that's 2 paragraphs long. So I saw a comment earlier that said, how do you make it more concise? Well, tell it exactly what you want. If you want a sentence, tell it in a sentence, do this for me. If you want it in a paragraph, say, put these bullet points into 1 paragraph using this tone. An example that I have here, so I'm going to show you all some discussion boards and what we did. And this is a really actionable step that you could go ahead and take today if you wanted to, where I took what the faculty member had created for their discussion board question. I inputted that into ChatGPT and said, modify this discussion board prompt to utilize AI. And it actually came up with some really interesting points. And then I created a hybrid. So you had the faculty created discussion board, kind of the AI and faculty created discussion board. And then I layered on another layer, which was my instructional designer eye. So you kind of had this hybrid Frankenstein discussion board prompt. And this is not opening, but I will put in the chat the links to all of these links because there are a lot of resources and tools coming. Again, changing for tone, brevity, accessibility. So this could be really beneficial with your announcements, especially if you're using, if you're recycling a lot of announcements, tailoring it to whatever has been going on, maybe add a sentence about this conversation that had happened in a discussion board last week. So again, just kind of reducing some of that cognitive load on you all. Again, with your syllabus, this could be good just to make sure that you're meeting all of those policy criteria, making sure that you have all of those things in there. Assistant, so bouncing ideas off of it. I think that is one of the best things that you can do. So Brad was talking about this earlier, but just having a conversation with the AI, really talking to it, asking it questions. And then one of the best key things that you can do with an AI is to, at the end, include the phrase, ask me anything you need to complete this task. That's going to give the AI, ChatGPT, the opportunity to clarify anything so that you're coming up with more, specific things that are going to be exactly what you kind of want for your output. Some benefits for grading are going to be ensuring that keywords are used so that, you could throw it through an AI if you wanted to do that and make sure that those, syllabus requirements, those rubric requirements are being met, and then go through it with your human eye. So again, coming back to that human-centered AI usage. So we're not just creating an AI prompt for an essay, and then students are creating the AI essay, and then you're using AI to grade that essay, but really, again, using it just as a layer in the creation, in the design of your learning prompt. So be a good role model. So I was just looking in the chat there about general syllabus statements. I'm going to show you all some syllabus statements. You could, use some of the ones that I'm going to show you and then have ChatGPT tailor it to your class, but you can also take a look at them and, pick which one is going to be right for your usage. But that's one thing that I would really talk about heavily in your class is to be a good role model. And if you are going to use ChatGPT, be open and honest about it. I think that being transparent in our usage of it is going to be one of the key factors in making sure that students are not feeling like they have to hide it or that they have to sneak it, but really embracing that technology when it's appropriate to do so. So question for you all, just a little temperature check, is how could you see yourself using AI as a teaching assistant just based off of what we've talked about so far here today? You can throw that in the chat. And Jean made a really good point in the chat that, we don't need Google or Wikipedia as a syllabus statement. So again, just pointing out that ChatGPT and any other AI is usually a good place to start. Like Wikipedia can be a good place to start to get an understanding, but it doesn't mean that it should be the last output. Yes, I love that. Editing exam questions for clarity and generating similar questions. So I love making sure that things are clear using ChatGPT. I'm not always the best at concisely putting down into words what I'm thinking in my brain. So I think that ChatGPT can be a really beneficial tool there. Yes, generating learning activities based on different learning standards, based on different learning theories. That's awesome. Yeah, so we got some good conversation going in there. I really appreciate what you all are talking about in there. And again, I think that the possibilities are pretty limitless, and they're only going to increase as time goes on, as new versions of ChatGPT come out. So again, at the anthology conference, we learned a lot about what Ultra is planning. So if you already have courses in Ultra, be on the lookout. This is coming out in August and September. So pretty soon here on some of the capabilities of the new launches. So you're going to be able to put it in a course description, and it's going to automatically create some ideas for modules using different learning objectives. You're going to be able to input your content and then have it come up with those test questions, not in ChatGPT, but right there in Ultra. So definitely a lot of things that are coming out there, and then also generated images. So, being able to use a prompt to then create an image that correlates with that module, with whatever content that you're there for. So some example prompts, like I said, create a branching scenario based on this scenario that meets this learning objective. So input your information there. I wish I had time to go into detail on all of these specific programs that I work with, but not today. This is kind of the bird's eye view. How can I improve? So you can ask it questions. How can I improve this discussion board for English language learners? I think that's something that is a huge advantage, is the capabilities that this will give to people who do not speak English as their first language. And then you can also use it to differentiate your instruction. So, maybe you've seen that this, the module 4 discussion prompt has been kind of easy for students to answer. Well, now you can ask it to use a higher level of Bloom's taxonomy and go ahead and just recreate that without, needing to sit down, really think about it, rework it. It's going to be kind of easier than going and asking, another faculty member or coworker. I have to admit, I have used this on multiple occasions where a word is escaping my brain in a moment, and I will put into ChatGPT, I'm thinking of a word and it begins with this letter and it means this and it's similar to this. And a lot of the times it will get it. So if there's ever any moments like that, I think that can be a great opportunity to use it as well. And then again, rewording. And, when I have emailed faculty using ChatGPT, or if I have clarified, changed the tone, I'll put at the end, PS, I use ChatGPT to help me with this, this, and this in this email. So again, just being transparent about my usage, kind of normalizing the usage of it. So this is an example of a way that you could have students use it, or a way that you could use it. It's up to you and how you wanted to design your activities. But this is something that I'm working on a course with. So our group wants to create a healthcare campaign to encourage people to get the flu vaccine or whatever it might be. Break this task down into roles for a group of 4, and it'll break that down. Again, that can be a great first place to start. But another thing that I wanted to point out is that you see this icon here in the top right. This is the share icon. So whenever a student is going to input or have a conversation with ChatGPT, they could go there, click that, and click copy link. and then use that in their submission so that you can see the conversation that they are having with ChatGPT back and forth, so that you can say, okay, how are they critically analyzing it? How much is it different from what ChatGPT outputted into what they're submitting, so that you can just start learning about, okay, how is it that students are looking at this and the usage of it? So some considerations, again, I wish that I had all the time in the world to go into this, because I know that there are a lot of questions, again, right? Rainbows and butterflies, doom and gloom. It'll probably go somewhere in the middle, but the ethics, so responsibility and accountability. I really like the analogy of tracing. So when we think about artists, a lot of art is inspiration from here, inspiration from there. And when we're thinking about tracing with art, how much is too much tracing? How much is going to be copying and plagiarizing versus how much is going to be used as inspiration? And that's a question I think that we're all having and that we're all kind of talking about. And I think that those conversations are how we get to responsible usage of AI. Again, I know it's been talked about. Lisa, I think, did an excellent job about talking about bias and some of the output. So, who does it view as an engineer? Who does it view as an expert, right? So the AI output is only as good as its input. So who is inputting this data? Who is inputting this information? Those are real considerations to have when you think about AI usage. So some tools that are not AI. So this is going to be a bulk of the presentation today. So I wish that I could really sit down and talk about usage for all of them. But this one is called Elicit. So Elicit is you can input a research question and then see different relevant scholarly articles. So you can ask questions about the paper. You can see things automatically like funding source, the number of participants. There's a whole host of different, content in here. So this is available to students. So even if we're thinking about, getting content that's behind a paywall, they can still use other AIs, and they are using other AIs to then go in and interpret it. This one, I do want to take a moment to show you all. It's called SciSpace. So it has synopsis and different summaries and further explanations. So I believe, can you all see that? Can you all see this web page that's up there? Yes, awesome. Thank you, Brad. So you can go ahead and you can upload a PDF here, or you can click on one of the other ones. You can discover a large host of different ones that that they have here. You can see a synopsis of it, and then you can scroll down. So this, again, when we think about people who are maybe struggling with reading comprehension, with English as their first language, you can come down here and then you can ask different questions about this PDF. So you'll see on the bottom right here, you've kind of got some suggested questions that you can ask. So explain the abstract of this paper in 2 lines. You can find related papers. One of the best, I think, usages of this for differentiating content is that you can highlight a sentence, a paragraph, however much that you'd like. And then you can I need to highlight more in order to get a summary, but there we go. You can summarize, you can have the AI explain the text, and you can find related papers. So I'm going to have it explain the text, which is basically just going to reword what's already highlighted. There you go. So again, there are a lot of benefits here. So this one is one that I would encourage you to go ahead and input. So this could help in your course design process when you're looking at different, articles to include of what's going to be most beneficial. Go ahead and putting them in there and thinking of some ways that students could use the AI in a well thought out, intentional way. So chatbots, I think we are going to see a lot more of those on the rise. So there's an anthology chatbot that's in beta. I anticipate seeing one of those in the next, year, 2 years here. But those are definitely going to be on the rise, I would say. With technical support, this could be a great one to, if you have a question about something in Blackboard, it does Blackboard Learn and Ultra. Just starting here as, again, a first defense, layer. Futurepedia. Now, this is where you can start getting into some more very specific honed in AI tools that would be specific for your field. So like I said, I work with the legal department here at EKU, and you can go in there and see different AIs. So it's the largest repository of AI tools, and you can filter out for free tools that are specific to the law field that, have all of these different criteria. So I would encourage you all to go in here and find out what it is that your field already has out there and see how you can just kind of start thinking about the content that you already have in your courses and incorporating and knowing that our students are walking into this world where using AI critically with a critical analysis is going to be important. Yeah, so somebody said, I wonder how good it really is at explaining the text. That's a great question. And that's something that you are going to have to ask for yourself and answer for yourself. And I would also anticipate that it's probably only going to get better and more improved. But again, that's why I think it's important that you are looking at it with that critical analysis. Again, learning how to drive the car before students go and just get behind the wheel. Here you've got Anthology, the parent company of Blackboard, with their trusty AI framework. So I think that this has been really well thought out, well researched. It's compared to some different frameworks and legislation that's already been out there for some time, and gives some great guiding principles on AI usage. This is a report that just came out, I believe, last week from the U.S. Department of Education when it comes to AI and the future of teaching and learning. Some key takeaways there were the need for sharing knowledge, providing support, and developing policies for AI. Now, this is a great kind of introduction video to grading ChatGPT's writing, evaluating some of the questions that are coming out with some of the writing and content that ChatGPT is creating. This is a great just segment on kind of an introductory segment. So you've got some templates specific for educators here. These are going to be, I think, great places to start if you are not quite sure how to have that conversation with ChatGPT. A great place to go in, brainstorm. You can use the prompts themselves, or you can then tailor them to the content that you are already teaching. And again, I have a Google Doc with all of the links for all of these resources. Now, this one is definitely very new. Earlier this week or late last week, this is a generative AI at work study that came out from the National Bureau of Economic Studies, and really looked at some of the benefits and challenges of using AI in the workforce. And one of the key takeaways that I thought was very interesting was that it helped the low performance workers the most. So this was looking specifically at call centers when you think about, the need for high communication abilities there. So thinking about some of the ways that we can use the skills and teach the skills that students are still going to need in human to human interactions. And I firmly believe that humans still like to talk to humans over AI, over robots any day. I know that, maybe one day I will not be in that majority, but I think the majority of people are still going to want to have conversations with people, and knowing how to use the AI and then communicating is going to be a skill. Will AI fix work? A Microsoft report. So I've got some key findings from there towards the end of this presentation. But I think that it's a great overlook into the world that students are going to be stepping into when they get into the workforce, if they're not there already. So this is the kind of big daddy of the syllabus statements and repositories that I had mentioned earlier in the chat. Somebody was looking for different policies. I see that there's a conversation about having a general syllabus statement. To my knowledge, and Jean would probably know better than I do, is not one. But let me go ahead and put this link. Here we go. There we go. All right, here we go. Finally, thank you for your patience. So AI and learning resources are available here. So they're broken down, but this is a huge repository available. And the second one here is going to be the classroom policies for AI and generative tools. So this is a crowdsourced example. So you can see what other universities are doing and what other departments are doing. This can be a great place to start, and then again, creating your own from there. So you'll see, I mean, a lot of different AI learning and resources here effectively using AI tools. There's going to be a whole host of different tools available here. There's also different online communities, so dedicated for teachers who are trying to use AI. So that has been, I think, a great thing for me, is just looking, being in these communities, seeing how other people are using AI is always a great, way to brainstorm and come up with new things that I hadn't thought about, that maybe, we haven't thought about as a program or as a department. Okay, and 1 second here. There we go. So some more prompt ideas here. So this is out of Arizona State University. So these are really good. I really like the real life examples here. That's why I included this one. But there's no shortage of prompt ideas out there on the internet. And I would just encourage you, again, that's your homework for today, is to go ahead and start using some of these with the content that you already have in your courses. And now this was the Will AI Fix Work report. And I wanted to highlight on the bottom right here that this term, AI aptitude, has been showing up much more in US job postings. So up 79% just this year. So I think that shows the importance of creating good designed courses that are utilizing AI in a well thought out way. Making sure that we're looking at AI creation with a critical analysis, using it intentionally. And again, not being afraid of the new technology, but really learning how to live in the world with it. So if you would like to have some conversations about specific to your department, specific to your programs and your field, I would love to do that. My email address is there. That is going to be the best way to get a hold of me. That is kind of my bread and butter. It's been the world that I've been living in all summer so far this year, really. So I would love to have those conversations with you. And if there are any questions, I am happy to stick around. We've got about 5 more minutes. Yes, really interested in number 6. Yes, I will go ahead and put that link to the all of the resources today in the chat. So thank you all.